In the last video, we looked at the distributive property in depth. Today, we are going to look more at the commutative and the associative properties. If I look at exercise 1, it says add the following numbers without using a calculator. Now, you could add 3 plus 9 is 12, plus 4 is 16, plus 2 is 18, plus 7, and you could keep going, but it might get difficult to try to add them in your head that way. So, we are allowed, because it's addition, to add them in a different order and still get the same result. We saw that yesterday. Meaning I don't have to do 3 plus 9 plus 4 plus 2 plus 7. I could pair these numbers up to make them easier to add. I know these lines are a little bit difficult to see, so I wrote it off to the side. I paired up the 4 and the 6, the 9 and the 1, the 3 and the 7, and the 2 and the 8. The reason I paired them up is because when I add those guys up, they're all equal to 10. And then it's easy to add. You have 10 plus 10 plus 10 plus 10 is 40. So, order of operations, we would say, oh, we should go add it from left to right. But since we have the commutative and associative properties of addition, we are allowed to add it in a different order because we would still get the same result. So that would be an easier way to do it. And we do that stuff like that sometimes. So it says addition and multiplication have two very important properties with very technical names. The next exercise will review these properties, and we've seen a little bit of these properties already. 8 plus 4, alright, so it's the commutative property of addition. 8 plus 4 will give us the same sum as 4 plus 8. Both sums equal 12. So commutative, I can switch the order for addition, and I still get the same result. Multiplication, when it's commutative, I can do the same thing. I could do 6 times 3 or 3 times 6. No matter what, I get 18. So the commutative property of multiplication allows us to do that. For the associative property, I could add 3 plus 5 and then add 9 to that result afterwards. Or I could add 5 plus 9 and add the result of 3 after that. Either way, the result is 17. So whether I choose to associate the 3 and the 5 together first or the 5 and the 9, I get the same thing because of the associative property of addition. This holds for multiplication as well. I could choose to multiply the 2 times 5 to get 10 and then times it by 7. Or I could get the 5 times 7 first, is 35, and then multiply by 2. No matter what, I get an answer of 70. So the associative property of multiplication holds true as well. Moving on to our next page. It says the commutative properties and associative properties give us permission to rewrite the addition and multiplication problems in a different order than it's given in order to make it easier for us. That's not the case with everything. For example, subtraction is not commutative. For exercise 3, you want to give an example that shows that it's not commutative. If I take 5 minus 3, I get 2. But if I do 3 minus 5, I get negative 2. So since I did not get the same result, there's no way it's commutative. So it's not commutative. So I need you to be aware, though, even though subtraction is not commutative, we could rewrite the subtraction to make it as an addition of opposites, and then we can make it commutative. Let's look at exercise 4, exercise 4. Change the following expression involving addition and subtraction into only involving addition, and then use the commutative and associative properties to quickly determine the value of the expression. Through this, please review some properties of negative numbers. So right now we are given 7 minus 3 plus 8 minus 2 minus 6 plus 1 minus a negative 3. I'm going to rewrite it first. So anything with a minus, I'm going to write as a plus negative. So it'll be a plus negative 3, a plus negative 2, a plus negative 6. And then this minus a negative 3 is the same as just plus a positive 3. Now, it does ask us to reorder it to make it easier to come up with the answer. So this is how I reordered it. I combined the negative 3 and the 8, the 7 and the negative 2, the negative 6 and the 1, and the 3. When I associate the negative 3 and the 8 together, it's 5. The 7 and the negative 2 together is 5. The negative 6 and the 1 together is negative 5, and then you still have the plus 3. 5 plus 5 is 10, minus 5 is 5, plus 3 is 8. So we get a final answer of 8 there. All the problems we've done so far, I don't know if you noticed it or not, have been with just numbers, nothing with variables in it. But these properties apply to if I had variables in it as well. Okay? So those commutative and associative properties of addition and multiplication do apply. It says we should now be able to extend the commutative and associative properties for numbers we know to numbers we don't know, which are variables. One of the very nice ways to illustrate the usefulness of these properties is in combining two or more expressions. Please recall the following quickly. This is just a little review very quickly. 5x plus 2x is equal to 7x. 7x plus negative 3x is equal to 4x. Negative 8x plus negative 2x is equal to negative 10x. And just realize I could have written it as 2x plus 5x to be 7x as well. Or I could have had it written as negative 3x plus 7x to equal 4x as well. Or I could have had this one written as negative 2x plus negative 8x to be equal negative 10x as well. No matter which way which order I write it in, it's still equal to the same thing. In the following exercise number 6 here, we should know how two linear expressions are combined using various properties. List what the properties are. So I'm looking at the first line here. I have 3x plus 7 associated together, and I have 2x plus 8 associated together. And at the end, I got rid of the parentheses to show that the association is with everything. So you heard me say association the entire time. This is the associative property here. I did not change the order of anything. I just rewrote it without the parentheses to show I'm associating everything together. While in this case here, if I compare the left-hand side to the right-hand side, the order changed. I moved the 2 and the 7. I flipped them. So that way the 3x and the 2x are next to each other and the 7 and 8 are next to each other. So that's your commutative property. And then on the third line, from the left-hand side to the right-hand side, I at first had everything associated together. And then afterwards I said, all right, let's just associate the 3x and the 2x together and then the 7 and the 8 together. So that's your associative property there. And when you add them up, 3x plus 2x is 5x, 7 plus 8 is 15. Exercise 7, and then we'll be done. Combine the expressions below. Replace subtraction by addition of opposites if needed. So for letter A, please follow along because I rewrote this in last minute. For this very first part here, the very first thing I did was I rewrote it as 4x plus negative 2x plus 6 plus negative 9. So all I did was I switched the 6 and the negative 2. So that was a commutative property. And then I decided to associate the x's together and the numbers together. I combined like terms and got 2x minus 3. For this case here, again, I decided to commute the 10 and the 9. I switched them. And then I decided to associate the x's and the numbers. And then I combined like terms and got an answer. For this last one here, again, I commuted the negative 7 and the negative 10. Notice I did rewrite it as plus negatives. And then I associated the y's together and the numbers together. And then I combined like terms and got negative 3y minus 13. At this point, just show me everything is done tomorrow for this video, and we will start working on the next part in class tomorrow.